I started this film when I was 15, a young schoolboy who could hardly do his tie up. The film started very innocently. I just had this simple question, what is free speech, that didn't really mean anything to me. So I started asking questions. I began by asking my school friends, my teachers, the people around me. I then discovered that this idea of free speech was a lot more important to the rest of society, so I started branching out. I then started speaking to actors, to politicians, to activists, to journalists, to hackers, to whistleblowers, to technologists, a very large array of different people, so I could really understand from all different spectrums the effect free speech has on democracy as a whole. Basically from the beginning up until around the age of 17 and 18, I had just trotted along and had loved the entire process, and we hadn't really run into any problems. But it was when I reached out to a CIA whistleblower who had just blown the whistle on the US's use of waterboarding as official torture. Everybody knew it, but he was the first US official to blow the whistle on it. So he had spoken out and felt the consequences by going to prison. So I wrote to him to ask for an interview, and miraculously he replied and said, well, come on over. So for me, that was like the first moment that we suddenly felt under pressure, sort of under fire, that maybe we were stepping out of line. Right from the very moment we sort of touched down in Washington, we were followed right from the plane, pretty much. We went to go interview John, and he was under house arrest, so you had these two blacked out Land Rovers down his street, with two men, like a film, sitting there with newspapers in a residential neighborhood. We just continued and did this fantastic interview with him. And on the last day, we then, after shooting in Washington for a bit more to get some pickup shots, we arrived back to our hotel room, and our entire hotel room had been broken into. The TV was on full volume, hard drives laid out in our beds, and it was just made very obvious that someone had been there. And still to this day, I speak to my cameraman, and he's lost an entire day's worth of footage and can't explain it. Nothing important, but just an entire day's of B-roll. So I don't know what that means, some sort of message, some sort of intimidation tool, but for me, I know that was the first moment that things started to change on this project.